Hey guys, let's read a book together today. It's been a long time since I haven't read Wake Me Goodbye or any other books because I was so busy with my classes. Oops, I have just been taking one class today. It's the art class, which I have just signed up for the art class. And I must say it's actually relaxed me a little bit. And I have done a brilliant painting today. I would like to show you guys, but because it is downstairs and it's still a little wet, I have to wait until it is dry enough to show you guys. And don't worry, I have made many paintings as well, and I will show you in another video, which I will make and show you all the paintings I've made in about my art class as well. It's gonna be lit. Alright, and also, during the week, I have to learn for my exam as well. Next week will be a whole week of exam for me, which will stress me out. But I have today. Today's a brilliant day for me because I take my art class, which was really relaxing. And also everything went perfectly smooth. And this morning I will talk with some of my friends online, which I love to do that activity. But for now, I will just read a book. So again, I will continue reading chapter 13. Do you remember what happened in chapter 12? Ooh, wow. Shirley hated her clothes, but she had to act like she loved them just to please Mrs. Wawe, or what you say, Mrs. Mad. So let's begin chapter 13, plus one more hint in the story. They will be going to school soon. Ooh, wow. Which school will they go to? And the teachers? You'll find out in chapter 14, but chapter 13 first. Alright, let's get started. 13. I slept by myself in the empty room again. Chubby purloined a couple of chair seats from the sitting room and spread a threadbare sheet over them. It was almost like a proper bed, so long as I kept my legs tucked up. This is just temporary. If we really go to war and you lot are stuck here, Mrs. Matt is going to order camp beds from the army and Navy stores. She said, "How many camp beds?" I asked. "That's up to her," said Chubby, knowing what I was getting at. "She can't get rid of Kevin. He hasn't got anywhere else to go." "Well, we'll just have to wait and see. She did buy him those new trousers and shoes and stuff. She would have done that if she was going to keep him," I said hopefully. "Wouldn't she?" said Chubby, refusing to give an opinion. "Sit down, children." Oh, sorry, the wrong page. But as she was going out of the door, she looked back over her shoulder. She can take in all kinds of wafts and stray when she feels like it, she said. I didn't know what she meant, but I felt comforted. Chubby could be quite kind sometimes, though she was anything but kind the next morning. I was broken by shrieks and slaps from the boys' bedroom. Little tyke, soaking, and you've got a potty in the room, you lazy little tyke. I can't be doing with this. Didn't you promise me that this wouldn't happen again?" Chubby shouted. "I didn't mean to." Archie sobbed. He must have pee again. Oh wow, little tough. "I didn't even know I'd done it. So I've got to start washing and scrubbing on a Sunday when I've got blooming roast to cook and a dozen other things to attend to. You're the flipping limit you are," she said, obviously giving him another whack because there were further yells. At breakfast, poor Archie was very subdued. Kevin kept telling him silly jokes to cheer him up, but Archie drooped until his chin was almost on the table. When Chubby had her back turned, Kevin even dug his finger into the butter and sugar and offered it to Archie, but he shook his head. I was sent to Mrs. Waverly's bedroom with her breakfast tray. She frowned when she saw I put on my pleated skirt again. The body seemed spoiled now, so I pulled on my Fair Isle jersey too, though I was roasting. I had also definitely crammed my feet into my red patent shoes. "Why aren't you wearing your nice new blouse and tunic?" Mrs. Waverly asked. "I wanted to keep them look clean and fresh for school," I lied. Mrs. Waverly looked at my feet. "I'll wear my new shoes tomorrow, I promise. I just wanted to wear my red shoes one last time," I said quickly, adding for pathos. My mom bought them for me. Are you missing your mother, dear? I nodded. Suddenly, I wasn't just putting it on. I felt a great ache inside me. I'm missing her terribly, I said, sniffing. I was being truthful, but also stopped her nagging on about my new clothes. Now you can go and play with the boys for a while, but you must all come to my sitting room at 11 o'clock, said Mrs. Waverly, nibbling her toast. I wonder if we might be going to church. I was quite curious. Mom said she didn't hold with religion, and Dad didn't seem bothered either, so I've never actually been to a Sunday service. I peeped into the church down the end of our new road, and liked the high ceiling and the colored glass windows, and the strange smell. I enjoyed time at school too, singing about glassy seas and green hills, and all things bright and beautiful. But Mrs. Waverly and Chubby didn't seem to be church-goers either, though Chubby took off her peony and even discarded her old slippers in favor of black patent shoes. Mrs. Waverly was wearing a smart suit and had done her hair up in an elaborate bun. At 11, she turned on her big wireless, tuning it carefully. Were they all dressed up just to listen to dance music? I wondered. Sit down, children, said Chubby solemnly. We sat down obediently on the floor, cross-legged like we did at school. The announcer on the radio told us we were about to listen to Mr. Chamberlain. Who? Said Archie. Shh, said Chubby, nudging him. The Prime Minister. Archie didn't look any the wiser and opened his mouth again, but Chubby shook her head and put her finger to her lips. Mrs. Waverly had her ear to the mesh of her wireless. We listen. This morning, the British ambassador in Berlin handed the German government a final note stating that unless we heard from them by 11 o'clock, that they were prepared at once to withdraw their troops from Poland. A state of war would exist between us. I have to tell you now that no such undertaking has been received, and that consequently this country is at war with Germany. Oh, God, said Chubby. Mrs. Waverly sat back in her armchair. She didn't say anything. Her face was expressionless, yet tears started sliding down her cheeks. The Prime Minister went on talking, but none of us were listening now. So we're really at war, said Kevin excitedly. Get your gun, Chubby. You're going to have to give us lessons now. Don't worry. We'll shoot those Germans. Bang, bang. Bang, 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 Archie echoed, killing everything in sight with 2 fingers. Hold your tongues, you silly boys, said Chubby. She went over to Mrs. Waverly. They're mad. Don't take on. She gently wiped her tears away with the back of her hand. Mrs. Waverly still didn't say anything, but she took Chubby's hand and squeezed it tight. They seem more like best friends. I'll go make us both a cup of tea, said Chubby. Run away and play, you kids. It was hopeless trying to play with Kevin and Archie now. They both charged around shooting, bombing, and flying with their arms stretched out. I went back to my room. I thought about Dad. He had a real fight in his hands now. Would he have to kill someone? Dad was so soft-hearted he couldn't even step on an insect. And when a cat-mouthed bird flew in through our window and beat itself silly against our walls, wings all mangled, it was Mom who had to finish it off. Mom was in London. She'll send me away because there might be bombing. It could have already started. I imagined the boom of a bomb, and Mom torn apart like that long-ago bird. I sat on the floorboards with my back against the wall and read the squirrel, the hare, and the little gray rabbit for comfort. My mouth is parched. They live safely and snugly in the country. I wish I lived in their cozy little cottage with a soft sofa and the spotted curtains instead of this huge empty house. I felt too restless to read a proper book. I took off my red shoes and rubbed my poor sore toes and then wandered soundlessly up and down the corridor. I peeped into the boys' room, stripped off its bedding again, though it still smelled faintly of wee. I was so glad I hadn't decided to sleep in there with them. I peeped into Chubby's room once more. I even dared to look at the photograph inside the Bible again. The man and the girl in white were still dancing in the sunlight. The man and girl, I shut them round and round. I shut them back in the book and wondered if they were still whirling, or whether they were motionless, pressed flat until someone opened the Bible again. I looked around for another photo, maybe even an old love letter, but I couldn't find anything. I wandered towards the other end of the house. I admired Mrs. Waverly's bathroom again. I tried the next door, but it was still locked. So I went into her bedroom. She hadn't bothered to make her bed, and her clothes were tossed here and there. Her suede sandals were lying soiled up on the carpet. I couldn't stop myself. I stuffed my stocking feet into the sandal and staggered across the room to her looking glass. They looked a bit odd with my short socks, but they were still glorious. I struck attitudes, sticking one leg out to the side, hoping I looked like a film star. Why would she have bought me a pair of shoes like these divine sandals? I strutted about, and then my ankle suddenly twisted right over and nearly fell. I froze, not worrying about the pain in my ankle, only concerned that I'll make a noise and they might have heard me downstairs in the sitting room, where they'd been left. I started making up a panicky excuse about wanting to fetch Mrs. Lovely back breakfast tray, even though I knew Chubby had collected it when she ran her bath. I couldn't hear anything coming, thank goodness. I put my ear to the rose-part carpet and heard the soft murmur of voices beneath me. I was safe. It was so magical being myself in that beautiful bedroom. I slowly eased the wardrobe door opened and gazed at all the clothes. There were lots of dresses open together, silk and chiffons in pink, and peach and sky blue. Right at the back I found a black evening frock stuffed with silver beading. I showed the tiny baubles as if it were exotic animal, picturing a young Mrs. Waverly going to ball. The clothes smelled musty, though, for all they were so beautiful, so I shut them back in the wardrobe and padded over to the dressing table. I sat on the pale pink stool and picked up a silverback hairbrush. I tried it out. Eyes shut, combing my hair, pretending the brush was magic and could make my hair spring out of my scalp, way down to my waist. But when I opened my eyes, I saw my own boring short bob. I put the hairbrush down again, sniffed Mrs. Waverly's box of violet talcum powder, and then opened a blue leather box. It was a jewelry case. I hoped for diamonds and rubies and emeralds, but there was just a string of pearls, a pair of matching gold bangles, a few rings, and a key. A silver door key, a key to the locked room next door. I wondered. I knelt down on the floor again and listened for voices. Then I snatched up the key and hurtled out of Mrs. Waverly's bedroom. My hand shook as I pushed the key into the lock. For a moment I thought I'd make a mistake because it didn't turn, but then I jiggled into fraction and something clicked. The door opened. I thought. See you next time.